want to talk more now about a situation that we've been looking at the rest of this afternoon real quickly. And Brad Bowman joins us right now. Brad, first of all, sorry, thanks. Nice to have you with us this afternoon. Fill us in, if you will. Where are we right now with this? It hasn't changed a great deal, but give me an update, if you would, please.
Yes, so on Sunday, the United States conducted a strike that killed Ayman al-Zawahiri. Many of your viewers will know that Zawahiri was a longtime leader of al-Qaeda. He was involved in the 1998 bombing of the U.S. embassies in Kenya and Tanzania. He was involved in the bombing of the USS Cole in 2000 that killed 17 sailors. And of course, he was the number 2 of al-Qaeda on September 11th, 2001, when that terrorist organization murdered so many of our fellow citizens. And when the United States brought justice to Osama bin Laden in 2011, Ayman al-Zawahiri became the head of al-Qaeda. And so, this is someone that we had looked for years. Many speculated that he was in the tribal regions, if you will, of Pakistan. It appears at some point, not surprisingly, after the what I would call catastrophic U.S. withdrawal from Afghanistan in August of last year. Some point after that, Zawahiri moved. Where did he move? He moved to Kabul, right? Evidently, he thought he would be safe. Thank you very much. Just sitting there, right there in the capital of Kabul, residing in houses either in or right next to leaders of the Taliban government. Big surprise there. No big surprise there, because we know that the Taliban and al-Qaeda have been attached at the hip. And all this is significant, right? Because on one hand, President Biden deserves credit for ordering this attack. On the other hand, on August 20th, 2021, he said, quote, what interest do I have in Afghanistan at this point with al-Qaeda gone? Well, al-Qaeda was not gone when he said that in August of last year, and they're definitely not gone now. And this, unfortunately, for me, is part of a track record of self-delusion that we often have here in Washington.
Brad, it also occurs to me, too, that there are a number of things with where Zawahiri was taken. He's in a neighborhood, apparently along with some folks with whom he's worked, and also a lot of other bad people. I think it would be easy to qualify. Some of the promises that we were made by this government when it came into power that weren't going to happen clearly has happened. Suddenly, this has become a magnet, if you will, for some of the very people that we were fighting in Afghanistan for so very long. And they've now just moved downtown into a pretty nice neighborhood and presumably are open for business. That's
right. It reminds me a little bit of Osama bin Laden, who was hiding in plain sight, if you will, in Pakistan, right under the nose of some of the Pakistani military and government officials. It's difficult to believe they didn't know, and it would defy any reasonable logic that the Taliban didn't know that Ayman al-Zawahiri, the head of al-Qaeda, global al-Qaeda, was right there. And so, but the bottom line is we've known for years, and frankly at FDD in our Longhorn Journal, we've documented for years that al-Qaeda and the Taliban are attached at the hip. A UN panel of experts just published something in the last week or two where they confirmed that al-Qaeda is in virtually every region of Afghanistan, that the relationship remains close. And so anyone expected the Taliban, with their misogynistic medieval views, to be truth tellers, I think, needs to check reality a little bit. So no surprise that they lied to us. No surprise, they offered al-Qaeda safe haven in the months before 9/11. And they're doing it now. And that's the scary, unfortunate thing, is in some ways, we're right back where we were on September 10th, 2001. We have the Taliban in charge of Afghanistan, and we have more or less an al-Qaeda safe haven in Afghanistan. Now, the Biden administration would push back on that and say, well, no, it's not a safe haven. We just conducted this strike. Well, that's right. And I applaud it. And it's a major win for this administration, for all Americans, and no doubt. But there was no strikes for basically 11 months before this. So who else has gone to Afghanistan, and what else have they been doing? And if you think one strike is going to take care of that threat, I think we're sadly misled.
Talk about Pakistan's place in all of this, not just being a neighbor nation, but also a nation that sort of travels back and forth between, if you will, the West and this part of the world rather easily. How do they figure here?
It's a great question, and a lot of people refer to Pakistan as a frenemy. You know, on one hand, there's been a long-standing relationship between the U.S. military and the Pakistani military. There's some capable people of goodwill in the Pakistani military, but we also know that the Taliban enjoyed safe haven in Pakistan for our 20 years in Afghanistan, and that safe haven was a major advantage for the Taliban and a major disadvantage for us. You know, we did an event at FDD a few weeks ago, and we talked about why we were successful in going after the ISIS caliphate in Syria. And it's because we made a policy decision to not let ISIS have a safe haven in Syria while we were fighting them in Iraq. In Afghanistan, we permitted the Taliban to have that safe haven in Pakistan, and that's one of many reasons why ultimately we were unsuccessful, in my view.
Bradley Bowman's with the Foundation for the Defense of Democracies, and he's been good enough to join us this afternoon and put what I think was a surprising development in the news for a lot of Americans into some very important perspective, and for that we're grateful. Many thanks, Brad.